what's one element of on ice, like back in the day when we did drills, what's one element of a drill that has been eliminated from hockey practices? Like, remember, like, the Swedish flow drill?
Yeah.
Like, what's, like, one drill that's just, like, that was irrelevant? Remember, like, the hitting along the boards, everyone line up and make it through the
Or
gauntlet? The
Yeah,
gauntlet, like,
Or do they still do the Canada Cup?
I was just about to say Canada Cup. Canada Cup.
That's not
the triple, like
The triple
regroup in your own end.
Or they had the
down.
one where like there was a group in the corner and one guy would come down and shoot and the group in the corner would step out, the player would swing to the corner, you'd make the pass, a guy would swing from center, and like there was just all these different swings going on and
Multiple swings. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably
that's
an
gone.
old school one. That's
Yeah.
gone.
it was
Gone.
just like a flow drill that everyone did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Not much, though. I mean, I still pull from drills I did when I played midget, because that drill was a good drill for what I was trying to teach in Soup's practice yesterday. There's moments like that. So not everything we did back in the day is gone, but, there are still some good drills and good concepts that work. You maybe make a tweak and, yeah.
I remember when we went out with dudes and we mic'd him up for one of your practices.
Oh,
Some of the
great.
drills that you were implementing, I'd never heard of before. My mind was blown.
Yeah, well, that's the skill side, right? Like, but versus a team side. So skill, like, this just changed. Even from when dudes has been there, like my program's changed tenfold. Like,
Oh,
there's-
yeah?
oh yeah. There's
That was only like 2 years ago.
I
though.
know, but man, you gotta evolve. You gotta keep moving and progressing and getting better as a coach, right? It's one thing I always try to think of when I'm on the ice, and I always ask Ricks this, but I'm like, how was that session? Like, I'm always trying to improve, and I'm always trying to find new ways to convey a message so that the athlete can retain it, execute it, and remember it moving forward.
Do you ever create drills by watching the NHL?
Yep.
Do you? Like,
Yeah.
you watch Caulfield and go, wow, okay, how do
Yeah.
like? Is there anything like that?
All the time. I mean, even like Taylor mentioned, like the clickbaity stuff, like a lot of it doesn't work, but there's also a lot of people who cut clips of NHLers and just post them. And I see those often through like Instagram and stuff. And I see that. And I'm like, how can I implement that? Whether it's a simple thing like opening the blade on a shot, like how do I put that and teach that into a drill? Like, we could do a skating drill, but when they shoot, well, maybe that's like the added skill. Like I'm always adding small stuff to it, and you try to get the kids to see that and make sure they work on those finer details. But I'm always evolving my stuff, always.
now with you, so like when you coach your team,
Yeah.
do you do like individual skill stuff within the practice?
Yeah. So
Because I would say that's something that is probably changing. Whereas like that is getting implemented more. And Jordan can speak more to this, but when I was playing, it was like you went out, you did like your power plays and PKs first on a lot of days so the ice was fresh. And then you get into some flow drills and then you get into battle drills and stuff like that. And then you were off the ice.
Yeah.
And we didn't really do individual skill stuff. It was more like
In season, you mean?
in season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for like your typical like
Yeah.
team practice, it was more so you did your battle drills, you did your flow drills to touch the puck, and you did your team systems.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of team system stuff. It was never really like, here's a drill for individual stuff. This is what I want you to work on. So I guess that's my question for you. Like, how do you guys implement that more?
Yeah, I mean, our team's in a unique situation because of who I am as a skills coach. So not every team has someone who can do that. So we do have nights where it'll be a pure skills practice. Like we'll bring out a goalie coach. Chase Marchand's our goalie coach. He'll take the goalies and I'll work with the guys. And then when we do shots and stuff, we get the goalies in. But so we do those. Like we do have skill nights, but also I've talked to Marty and some of our other coaching staffs about, implementing skill into flow drills. Like it's hard to implement a skill into a 2-on-1, because that's like a game kind of mechanic. You hope their skill works out. But if we ever do flow drills, like I'll get them to start without a puck, where they go and they do a deceptive move, whether it's a head fake, stick wave, puck pickup or something, and then the flow drill starts. So I've kind of evolved that from just purely skill and just purely flow and try to find ways to merge them. And I do that in my summer program too, like as a warm-up. If you mentioned the Swedish 5-pass, like, well, maybe now you go without a puck and you pick it up first. Puck pickups are a huge skill. Like not every kid can do that, right? And then now you start adding the feet, the hands, the eyes, and the head, throwing off little deceptive moves. Like that's a small thing I've started to incorporate into standard flow drills is the skill aspect. So I try to do it as much as I can, and we don't do it every practice, but I'd say once every 3 or 4 we come back to those kind of principles.
And that's a nice thing to hear as like a former player, because like you sit there and like I remember in practice, like even in the Quebec League, like you're sitting there as a player like, what have I been struggling with lately? What has been my weak point in my game? Okay, how can I implement that into the practice within what we're doing? So like you're sitting there, like you said, puck pickups. Like let's say it's a puck pickup on the wall. So, you would do a drill, and I was a centerman, but I would swap out with the wingers and be like, take the middle, I want to work on this. So I would have to implement that myself versus the coach doing that, right? So
teams must get excited when you come to their practice, because then you go to like the Truro Junior A, like you'll go to other teams and just have a skilled implement practice. That must be fun for the players.
Yeah, it's just a unique thing that they, change of scenery or a change of a voice and change of what you do and change a routine, so it's often pretty well received. So I have a lot of fun doing it. I've done the Truro Junior A team. I work for them. I'm their head scout, but they always ask me to come out and run sessions, when coaches are tied up or when they just need a break. And, I go work with the Dartmouth U15 team, and I do the skills in the morning. But Tony one day said, can you run a practice for me? Like, I want them to have a practice. So, it wasn't like a pure skills. Like, we changed it. So I work with the teams to kind of help out areas where they think they need work on, and then I do my own JB stuff as well. So it's a nice balance.
Yeah, that's nice. I remember being sick and tired of practices by December and June.
Or like you're sitting there doing the same
thing.
Practice, and like okay, Monday I'm doing this, Tuesday I'm doing this, Wednesday I'm doing this, Thursday I'm doing this. Let's just get the morning skate and play Friday night.
Yeah,
like and that's the like when that drags on, that's when like some of the fun gets sucked out of it a bit, right?
And I remember there was times where I would struggle with like a random thing. Would be like, I remember there was one point where I was really hesitant of getting the puck over the blue line, and I'd always put someone offside. And it was just a random thing that would last for like a couple weeks, and then I'd be fine with it. But for that 2 weeks, I'd love to take time out of the practice to be able to work on my stick handling, to have confidence when the defenseman's pressuring you at the blue line. But we never did, because we're just doing a fucking flow drill.
Drills and battle
there's
drills.
just so many things that I wish I could have taken that, extra week just to kind of work on something, to practice my stick handling, to gain a little bit more confidence. Same within Junior A. There wasn't after like, all right, boys, practice is over, it's off. When I was at these Q practices with Crothers and Woodworth, the coach blew the whistle with 20 minutes left on the ice session, and the boys are just out there working on their skills. Like, I wish that was one thing I got to experience. I never did, but
I think you hit the nail on the head, is confidence.
Yes,
like
I had confidence, but I'd lose it every now and then.
But that's just it, and that comes from a coach recognizing this player is lacking a bit of confidence. How can I build this player up? Versus like you said, that old school tough love mentality of like, I'm just going to tear this player down and keep going and going at him until he figures it out, right? And it's like, confidence is huge. When you play with confidence, it's crazy.